This is probably my most topical video yet, with the Dragon Ball Super anime coming back and getting a remake. Thank God for that! But Jujutsu Kaisen is also going through its third season, and so far, it's been great. But let's get back on topic. Dragon Ball, the second piece of work by the late great Akira Toriyama, is one of, if not the biggest and most popular shonen anime of all time on any place on planet Earth. I think it's actually impossible to have never even heard a Dragon Ball reference, whether you knew it was one or not. So how on earth has this IP never had a single good Battlegrounds game on this hellscape we call Roblox? Well, I think I can boil it down to one big point. Capturing Dragon Ball Z's fighting style in a game is basically impossible, especially considering the sheer amount of weird and odd techniques that Dragon Ball Z has. Additionally, a lot of current Dragon Ball Z Battlegrounds games just don't feel well to play. Now, this is a personal stance, but for me, I feel like they control very poorly and just don't feel that fun to play. But let's just push that aside and let's hop into the video. Now, this has to be its own section because of how important it is to every single Dragon Ball Z fight. Goku versus Vegeta, Goku versus Frieza, Goku versus Fat Buu. All of these fights involve flight heavily. And it makes sense. After all, this is a continuation of Dragon Ball, where most fighters learned how to use flight on the basic ends. So why call out flight? Well, I confidently believe there is no true way to actually make a fun use of flight in Battlegrounds games, because inherently, it's not fun. One, it makes combat way less fun because someone can just fly around and you'll have to waste so much more time trying to track them down and stop them from flying just to get them into a combo. Secondly, it's the perfect tool for running. I mean, why would it not be? They'd have a way faster movement tool to just run off. And if you're saying, oh, well, then don't make it that fast, then adding flight at that point is just so worthless. Now on to the second half of this section. Every single Dragon Ball Battlegrounds game has the exact same map. It's just the Cell games. That is super lame to me. Map design is like the soul of your game. Look at JJS or TSB or Heroes Battlegrounds. They all have unique maps that immediately tell you which game is which. Look on screen. Notice how similar these two maps are? Well, this is only one of many, many copies where the map is just the Cell games. It's repetitive, it's boring, it's monotonous, and I'm sick of. This is a very important thing in every Battlegrounds game and just a game in general. That being, the game needs to not be boring or repetitive in their character designs, because then they won't draw you to the game, which is what you're going to be playing as. So, do you want me to tell you every single Dragon Ball Z Battlegrounds Goku here? I got you. Base Goku, whose ultimate is he does the pillar when he goes into MUI. I've just described 5 Gokus, and you can't tell me which one I was specifically talking about. And then also, you have the movement just blatantly stealing TSBs, because, why not? Do you see an issue here? If every single Dragon Ball Battlegrounds game is just the same with the same characters, the same copied gameplay, I don't want to play them. I don't want to engage in an IP about fighting if you can't even be bothered to have good combat. Speaking on character designs, here's a real hot take. I think the JJS Kid Goku is the best Goku out of every single Battlegrounds game currently on this platform. Now, why, you may ask? Well, not only is it OG Dragon Ball Goku, but because it's JJS, meaning it just has better basic fundamentals and a better gameplay feeling. The fact that the best Goku is in a Battlegrounds game that is Jujutsu Kaisen, that gives me night terrors. But back to the topic, character design is very important, and it's clear to me that he fully understood that, which is why he definitely chose OG Goku intentionally. Also, it does show he has good taste in Dragon Ball media, but it shows, indeed, he wants to do a unique version of one of the most iconic characters in all of shonen anime. By having the ultimate be the Ozaru 2, which, to my knowledge, is the only Battlegrounds game to have it, it's super unique, especially considering it uses Mechamaru's old M1s, which lets the Ozaru feel like it has so much more power to it. But this isn't even like the end of the section, because all this disappointment, it applies to every Vegeta, every Piccolo, every Gohan, and it's just all the same. It's pretty sad to me, because I just wish devs wanted to make something more unique. This section is one I often don't do because I usually just can't think of a solution. But this time, I actually have one, because I've just been thinking about this so often. The solution for this is pretty simple. Just make a OG Dragon Ball Battlegrounds game. Now, this may seem like a little weird of a suggestion, considering I just said how impossible it would be for a Dragon Ball Z Battlegrounds game to be done in a fun way. But listen again. I'm not saying that the solution is just do a Dragon Ball Z game, but try harder, LOL, you're just bad. No, I'm saying OG Dragon Ball is simply a much better fit for a Battlegrounds game. Now, I come to this solution because of one simple fact. The start of Dragon Ball is much more focused with on-the-ground fighting, much like a Battlegrounds game is. Alongside this, it's not like an issue of character roster size applies. It really doesn't. OG Dragon Ball has a phenomenal selection of characters. And it would honestly be very interesting to see how a developer would do it. So, you know, how about I give you 2 routes for starting character? Technically 4, but it just depends whether a mastery is involved. So, I believe the first 2 characters should either be a Kid Goku and Demon King Piccolo, or a Teen Goku and Piccolo Jr. Now, if masteries are involved, one of the previous 2 would be a mastery for the other. So, for example, you have Kid Goku as the one you get for free. That's the one you get to use just as soon as the game would launch or whatever. But then, for the mastery, you would get 23rd World Tournament Goku. Now, as for the map, I can see 2 routes. Either the strongest under the Heavens tournament, or a more unique map, something more akin to JJS, where West City would take up like 2/4 of the however big the map would be. Which also, quick note, if this was a real game, I prefer the map to actually be pretty small. But back to the map, the other 2 locations would depend. Whether it's the Red Ribbon Base, the snow area Goku lands in, the area under Corrin's Tower, or even a mini strongest under the Heavens arena and the concessions that would be near it. Now, am I saying a good Dragon Ball Z Battlegrounds game is impossible? No, not even close. I do believe a good Dragon Ball Z game is hypothetically possible, but it's extremely difficult. And hey, maybe a OG Dragon Ball game does come out and it's super fun, or it's not super fun. I'm just proposing the route I find the most plausible, which is, I guess, the word I'd use for this, for a developer to make. And hey, in the 1 in 1 billion chance, Z may be watching, Next overpowered character DKP, maybe think about it. But anyways, you've been drinking orange soda, and I'll catch you for our next carbonated discussion. Later.